How's it going, you guys? Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We are officially live. Thank you so much for being patient. It's been really fun to chat with you guys in the comment section. So today we are giving you a little NBA Finals preview. We're talking about what we expect to happen. We're also getting into a conversation about LeBron James and how he was criticized for behavior at one of Bronny's games. But before we dive in, you know what to do. Subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here is the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. And we're going to get Jackie up here in just a second. There she is.
There I am. What's up, everybody? I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on all things social media at JRayTheFanatic. It was really nice chatting with you guys before the show started. That was a lot of fun, actually.
It felt like a Reddit forum. You know, when you look in Reddit, and we're all having all these conversations, it kind of felt like that in the chat today. And it was interesting. I liked that. But I know you guys are here to get into the news, so let's not waste a single second and jump right into our first Need to Know News segment. This one is all about LeBron James. So LeBron James has been criticized for his behavior at Bronny's games in the past. Just a couple weeks ago, he and Drake were getting really hyped up on the sidelines, and people felt like that was inappropriate. I personally had no problem with his excitement about that. But now he's added more fuel to the fire after he went after an announcer who said some things that were kind of inappropriate. But look, LeBron James is really passionate about Bronny's career, almost as passionate about his son's career as he is his own career. I don't know why I'm tripping over my words right now. But Bronny is following in his dad's footsteps, and although he's not proving to be quite as much of a standout player as LeBron was, the expectations for him are very high because I think people anticipate that he is going to resemble his dad in the future. He's already received an offer from the University of Kentucky, and that happened when he was just barely starting high school. He's already had that Sports Illustrated cover. Of course, that was for gaming as opposed to, you know, his actual performance on the court. But he's doing a lot of things and hitting a lot of milestones that his dad did as well. So there's just this obvious path that they're taking that's very similar. So you, of course, want to see LeBron be a supportive dad. And he kind of did get riled up at this game. And one thing that I want to note is that it happened in Akron at LeBron's former
and we got one more. And McNeely is talking. His teammates is jumping everywhere.
So we're going to get into that clip in just a second. I'm going to show you guys exactly what went down. So at one point, the announcer allegedly said that Bronny would receive favorable calls because his NBA superstar dad was in the building. And this video that you guys just heard a little bit of is his reaction. So let's get that asset up there. I want to show you guys what went down.
And again, this is what makes great players. These are the type of situations where having some discrepancies at
LeBron took offense. LeBron took offense to the announcer saying that he's going to get those calls in his gym.
I understand it. I always am really annoyed when parents get too invested in their kids' high school or, you know, little league or Pop Warner games. I think that there's a lot of times when parents get just way too excited, way too angry, way too invested. In this case, what the announcer said was wildly inappropriate. Bronny already has a target on his back as the son of LeBron James. Nothing that he ever does is going to be able to be just Bronny James. It's always going to be Bronny, son of LeBron, or comparing Bronny's achievements with LeBron's. I just did that at the top of the show. So he already has a spotlight on him, for better or for worse. But in this situation, for the announcer in the middle of a game to make a comment about favorable calls, you know, going in Bronny's ways just because LeBron is there, is just it's uncalled for. And I think it was totally fine for LeBron to approach him and to voice how disappointed he was in that, because it was just rude. But a lot of people, of course, didn't like that LeBron did this because they don't like when LeBron does anything. They want him to shut up and play basketball, but he's not going to do that. And I'm glad he's not going to do that. And if this were anybody else, if this were, normal parents and their kids, and the announcer is saying something disparaging about their kids in the middle of a game, these parents are going to turn into Karens and go up there and yell at the announcer. It's just going to happen. So we can't blame LeBron for being a supportive dad. Now, Jackie, I got to talk to you about this, and I have a feeling I know your thoughts just based on the comments and the little reactions you were giving me throughout all of this. Do you think he had every right to approach the announcer in this way, or was he out of line?
No, he's absolutely right. And the thing is like people, and I get what you're saying when you hate that, parents are a little too invested. I'm one of those. I'm a too invested aunt. You know what I mean? And I'm definitely one of those aunts that every time I go to, especially my godnephew, when I go to his games, because he's a little older, and I'm like, no, you got to pick up the screen. You can't always fall victim. He falls victim to the screens notoriously. He's young, but I'm still barking out orders between me and his mom. She didn't play. She played volleyball. That's how I met her. But it's one of those things that I'm over the top. Nobody in that room knows me. You know what I mean? So it's not like they're going to say, oh, that's Jackie Ray from the Fumble. That's why he's getting, first of all, they don't give him any calls. But even if they did, they're not going to say, oh, he's only getting the calls because, Jackie Ray from the Fumble's in there. That's not what they're going to do. Sure, I get the looks, that people are like, oh, sit down, whatever. You know me well enough to know I don't give a damn about them looks, though. I just keep doing my thing. And so it has nothing to do with LeBron in this moment being, of course, his basketball IQ was higher than every single person in that room, for sure. That there's no question about that. But he's still in that moment being a dad. He still wants his son to succeed, and he's just being a dad. He's not doing anything different. A lot of parents in that moment are not going to step up and be their normal selves that they would normally be because LeBron is in there, and they recognize they don't know the game as well as he does. So I would even say less. If my nephew ever played Bronny, I'd be like, I'm not going to say anything because I just know whatever I say is good. It's not going to sound as good as what LeBron says. But as soon as he leaves, I'm going back to being my normal self. But he's just being a parent in that moment. That's all he's doing. And just because you recognize the dominating figure that he is doesn't mean that that's why he's getting the call. Refs in that moment are more prone to not give him the calls because they don't want to show favoritism. So if he gets a call, then you should believe that it's warranted. So this was just out of pocket. And I feel like LeBron is at the point in his career now where he's tired of the BS. He's tired of y'all talking stuff when stuff ain't warranted. And now that he's like, okay, I can see the light at the end of this career tunnel. So you gonna catch these words. And I love it. I am definitely here for it. And it's like I said, he's just a parent. He said time and time again that, Bronny is better now than where he was when that's not true. But that's okay for him to say that to me, even though I can see, I've been following LeBron James since he was in high school. So I can tell you for a fact that is not a factual statement. But I know when you're a father and you're looking at your child, obviously you want everything that you had, you want your kid to have better. You want him to be better. You want him to do better. So I'm not mad at him seeing that. And I actually love in this society, when we talk about parents either working too much or doing whatever, I love that LeBron is taking the time to make sure that he is invested and involved in his son's career. I think that's a beautiful thing.
I think it's a beautiful thing too. And people are really out there right now criticizing LeBron for being a supportive dad, for showing up to the games when there are so many kids out there who have no parents in the stands. Like, right. How can we really sit there and say that LeBron's doing something wrong here? I think that when it comes to kids, because Bronny, he's a teenager, but he's still technically a kid. When it comes to kids sports, there is a line, and a lot of the times parents cross it. We've seen coaches cross it. We saw that one coach who was like beating up the little kids or whatever happened. There's a line that gets crossed often, and I think that the second the announcer decided to say something kind of disparaging about Bronny was the second the line was gone. And even still, LeBron's reaction to the situation was appropriate, not inappropriate. Even if that line was still there, approaching the announcer and saying something, not, causing a scene and yelling and throwing punches or whatever, which we have seen many parents do. He was very appropriate in the way he handled things. Wouldn't you agree, Jackie?
Absolutely. It was just last week that I showed you a video of parents fighting in the stands while their kids were still playing. It wasn't even like the game was over. Their kids were still playing on the floor. So obviously parents getting out of hand is a thing. LeBron did not get out of hand. LeBron did what I think anyone, whether you're LeBron James or not, would do. You took that moment to be like, okay, what you not going to do is disrespect me and my child. That's not what we're doing. And I would be disappointed in any parent who let somebody say anything disparaging about their kid while they're just standing there and they just gloss it over. No, your kids need to know that you're their first line of defense. You are the parent. You're the one that is supposed to protect them for as long as possible. Obviously, you can't protect them from everything all the time, but as long as possible, that is your job. And so I thought everyone else except for LeBron James was out of pocket. He was having fun. He was coaching Bronny up, told him to get open and take that shot. He missed it. And LeBron was just like, you took it, though. So it was one of those great moments in time where his dad looked at him. He said, but you took it. You took it, though. And I everything about that moment, watching LeBron be a dad. And I think that's what people are missing about this. They're seeing LeBron James, guy they love to hate, King James, best player in basketball. And they're making all these comments and they're not taking a step back and looking at LeBron James, cool dad. He's out there with his son having fun. Cool dad moment for LeBron. And it's unfortunate that society just misses stuff like that, but it's a cool dad moment.
Just because LeBron's so polarizing, nobody wants to recognize when he's actually doing something good. But we will do it. We will give him his credit, and I love it. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that in the post-up, you guys. Jackie has some clips to show you guys. So for now, let's talk about the NBA Finals, because nobody expected them to look this way. Literally, nobody expected them to look this way. So they opened tonight, and I think it's safe to say no one saw Chris Paul and the Suns coming. There was very little hope for the Bucks actually pulling through, especially after their performance last year and with Giannis out. But here we are. We've got the Suns, we've got the Bucks, and it's honestly a huge surprise. Out in the West, the Lakers, the Clippers, they have much flashier stars. The Jazz had the better record. The Nuggets had the new MVP. In the Eastern Conference, we had the Bucks and their big three. We had the Sixers still clinging to Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, although we now know that's just never going to work and something needs to change there. The Bucks just seem like it's true. I feel like the experiment with Joel and Ben is done. We got to just leave it in the past.
Yeah.
But the Bucks just couldn't hold a candle, it seemed like, and yet we're here now. An interesting fact that I wanted to share with you guys is that on January 31st, the Suns had a 1% chance of winning the championship. That's according to 538's Raptor algorithm. And the Bucks had a 10% chance. Now, one of those teams has a 100% chance. Crazy that we're here right now. So, Giannis is not going to be playing tonight as predicted. But what do you think is going to happen, Jackie? What's your expectation for tonight?
I mean, not to be off topic, but the first thing that I want to see about tonight is the ratings. I want to see the ratings for game one of the NBA Finals tonight versus game one of the NBA Finals for the last 5 years. And I just want to see where this ranks. Because it's just not, I think there's a level of respect that people have for Chris Paul. So, even though he's the flop master, I think that people respect him enough and know his struggle and his strides to get to this point. So maybe that'll bring in some views. Without Giannis playing tonight, I'm sure that's going to make the views tank a little bit. So it's going to be one of those interesting things to see, what the viewership is. That's what I want to see first and foremost. The next thing that I kind of wanted to see, because I had said, I don't know, it had to be about 3 months ago. I said, hey, don't sleep on the Suns. Now, when I said don't sleep on the Suns, I did mean that in a way to say, hey, I think they're going to make a deep run. Did I think they was going to make it to the finals? Absolutely not. But here they are. So, I'm going to take a little bit of credit for saying we shouldn't sleep on them, but I wasn't that, I wasn't there yet. But this is one of those things, and you guys should definitely watch Challenge Accepted tomorrow, because this is one of the things that we talked about, because I've been on, my long weekend. I spent a lot of time on social media, and the narrative is, this and I hate when people do this. I hate when people say a ring doesn't count. But the fact of the matter is that the road for the Suns was a little, I don't want to say it was easier, but when you think about the injuries that plagued, first of all, every team, that is a big deal to say that, okay, they kind of just dodged landmines, and that's how they got into the finals. We don't know if they're who they really are because they've not had to face a fully healthy squad. So although I don't put asterisks by rings, I do understand that narrative that says, they're kind of here by default. And I saw a tweet that said, the two healthiest teams in the league are the two that made it to the finals. And then when you really think about that, it's like, damn, that's true. So as far as the prediction, and we were talking about this kind of in the chat earlier, I think what we're going to see really is how dope the Bucks are without Giannis. And I'm not saying that Giannis isn't dope. What I'm saying is, this time last year, I said that Chris Middleton was the best player on the Bucks, and I got drugged to high heaven. People said I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. But the fact of the matter is, and I said it then, and I'm going to say it now, same thing I said in the chat earlier, the only thing that he doesn't have that Giannis does is size. But when you talk about the fundamental of who he is as a player, his ability to make plays happen, his ability to kind of read what's happening on the floor, know his position on the floor, know his teammates' position on the floor, and make lemonade out of lemons, he's the better player. Now, size does matter, so I'm not taking anything away from Giannis, but I'm just saying, as far as the fundamental basketball player, I think Chris is the better player. I had said last week on another platform that what I think is going to happen is I think they're downplaying the level of Giannis's injury. I'm sure he's going to come back in the finals at some point because he wants to. He wants to be a part of that team that wins if they win. And my fear for him, though, is he's going to end up in a situation that Kevin Durant ended up in, that LeBron James ended up in, and there's no one there to really protect him from himself. And he ends up going into this situation and he aggravates an injury that he's not ready to come back from. That's my concern for him. But if that happens and they win without him, now we have to circle back. We have to circle back and say, okay, who does these Bucks need to be? Does this offense need to run through Giannis? Is this another one of those situations where I've said time and time again, sometimes you got these star players who are really supposed to be dope role players. Who are we right now? Because we've seen Brook Lopez. Y'all know I do not like Brook Lopez, but the way he has stepped into his moment, you got to give that man all the credit. Ultimately, I think it's going to end up being Bucks in 7. I think that 7th game is going to go into overtime, and it's going to be a nail biter. But that's my prediction: Bucks in 7, overtime.
Wow. Okay. Specific prediction. I definitely think it's going to be a 7-game series. But as of right now, for me, it's such a toss-up as to who's actually going to be winning it. I really can't say one way or the other. I feel like maybe I'm leaning towards the Suns here, but I don't know. Very interesting. One final question that I want to ask you, Jackie, before we move on into the post-up. Do you feel like this solidifies CP3 as an all-time great? Because the biggest caveat in his career has been his inability to really make a deep playoff run. And now here he is with this new team that he pretty much transformed and elevated to, a pretty elite status. Yes, he did encounter some injury-laden teams, but does making it to the finals now solidify him as an all-time great? What's your take on that?
I think he was solidified as an all-time great before this, simply because the second he goes to any team, that team instantly becomes elevated. You might have some bumps in the road on the road if the team you go into has James Harden. But aside from that, any team he goes to, he instantly elevates that team. We know his skill set. We know who he is as a person. So I don't want to take, anything away from Chris. I think he is a dope player. I think he deserves all the accolades that he's getting. Winning is always a thing, though. It's always getting that ring. Even if you only get one, it's just like that exclamation point at the end of your career. In this situation, I think it would be the tail end of his career. I think he's a phenomenal player, first ballot Hall of Famer for sure. But getting this ring is one of those things that I think is beautiful. Now, keep in mind, even though I went in the chat earlier and I said the basketball gods favor CP3. And I absolutely agree with that. I feel like all the stars, and I mean, when you sit back and you take a look at the Suns' journey, all the stars perfectly aligned for the Suns. I mean, literally perfectly. If you're not a spiritual person and you're watching the Suns' journey, you have to believe there's a bigger power at play because this is just not how this was supposed to go. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not Bucks in 7. Maybe it's Suns in 7. I don't really have a dog in this race, so I'm not invested either way. But I really do think that he is a phenomenal player. I don't like the fact that he flops all the time, but I do love watching the guy play. You know what I mean? He's good at what he does. Let me take it back. He's amazing at what he does. He deserves all the accolades that he gets. And it's one of these series that I'm definitely going to watch, but not with the intensity that I normally watch basketball. But it's going to be interesting to see how this game 1 goes. I think I'll have a better prediction tomorrow because I think this game 1 is going to be very, very telling. If the Bucks go in there with the same energy that I saw them finish out the last series with, then I'm going to stick to my prediction, Bucks in 7. Because the way that they're playing together, and Brook Lopez called it the best. He said, you know what, our plan was to hit the ground running and get the lead early and keep it. If they stay with that mindset, if they can limit their turnovers, if they can transition well, I think the Bucks got this. It might even be 6, but I think the Bucks got this if they play with the same intensity and tenacity that they finished out the last series. So ask me again tomorrow is basically what I'm saying.
All right. Well, I will ask you again tomorrow. And I just asked you guys in the chat. Do you guys think it's Bucks in 7, Suns in 7? Is it not a 7-game series at all? Let us know in the chat. Dennis Davis says Bucks in 6. Mike Glock says Bucks in 7. Well, I want to get your guys' thoughts, but for now, I want to get into the post-up. I know we have a lot of great stuff coming up. So, Jackie, let's get right to it.
Yes. Let's break this one down. We're going to talk about a lot in the post-up. Obviously, we're going to revisit. I know some of you guys are asking me about the Rachel Nichols thing. That is definitely coming up in the post-up. It is not what we not going to do. It's going to be a little mini what we not going to do, but it is definitely coming up in the post-up. But this first one, Devin and I just talked about it a little bit with LeBron James getting a lot of criticism for what I thought was being a good dad. This was the moment in time that I was kind of telling you about where he was telling Bronny, get open and take the shot. So I want you guys to take a look at this and just see Bron being a really good dad. Take a look. Okay, can we put that first asset up of LeBron? It should be asset number 1 in the first post up.
If you guys
and that was just a really adorable moment because he looks at Bronny and says, okay, but good shot though. And he kind of turns around and laughs like, damn, I told him to get open and he missed the shot. But it's just one of those fun moments, between father and son, dad just being out there cheering on his kid. I actually love that. There was a lot of criticism, like Devin said, a ton of criticism around LeBron James. Even some high school coaches had said, hey, if he was in my gym, I would have told him to sit down. I'd have paid cash money to see you walk up to LeBron James and tell him, I would have paid cash money to see that.
It would never happen. Never happen. Wow, I love how these people have the audacity to think they're gonna go up to LeBron James and tell him to sit down. I
would have paid money. I'd have paid top dollar to see it. I would have, and video the whole thing, and that would have been our first post up. Like, look at this. But like I said, he was getting a lot of criticism, and of course, I'm not going to get into all of the people that just love to criticize for criticizing. But I do want to show you this tweet. So if we can throw up this next asset really quickly, I just want to kind of show you the reading the room on Twitter, because this is one of those criticisms. And it says, this is one of those things that I just don't understand why people don't understand it. Because he says, but why are the other fathers in the building not being highlighted? Thank you so much, Keon, for jumping in and explaining the obvious. And he says, because they're not famous. We wouldn't even be talking about this high school game if LeBron wasn't there. What are you talking about? You think that there's a dad getting ready to go to a game right now, cheer on his kid. Guess what? We're not going to talk about tomorrow. That game, because LeBron James is not going to be there. This is not rocket science, people. Come on, let's get it together. But let's go to this one because I think Jamal Crawford is 100% correct. Let's throw up this next asset. This one's funny too. I forgot about this one. It says LeBron James starting to look like Pops LeBron in those really old Nike commercials. Is this not a factual statement? Oh, I love it though. You know what I mean? Like I said, the only thing that's undefeated in the world is Father Time. So don't trip. I'm glad he's still around to start looking like this. But this is the one I really want to show you where Jamal Crawford points out the obvious. He says, forget Bronny missing the shot. He's a stud, by the way. But seeing a father so present is what I love. I absolutely love that. Because I can tell you, when I was playing basketball, first of all, I fouled out a lot. So maybe that's why my dad never really got super excited, because he was like, she's going to foul out in a minute. There's no point. But he was real. My dad, if you ever met my dad, he is the king of chill. Like if you look up chill in the dictionary, there's a picture of my dad there. So the best he would say is calm down. That's all I would get sometimes is calm down. I would love to one time just see my dad be like, oh my God, what did I, like I would have loved that. So look, kids, I'm going to tell you now, you get to those points when you're older and you look back, appreciate these moments now that you have with your parents because they don't last forever. So I am very happy that Bronny has his dad in his life and he is being present like that. I absolutely love that. So now we're going to move on to, as promised, this Rachel Nichols saga. I have so much to say on this topic, specifically Steven Jackson. Again, you're going to have to watch Challenge Accepted tomorrow to hear about that, because this is, let me stay focused, but let me get back to this Rachel Nichols thing. I know you guys heard about this Rachel Nichols thing, and she basically said, hey, if you want to hire a black woman because you're trying to, be more diverse, then that's fine. Give her other stuff to do. Don't give her, what I'm doing. Here's the part, and she gives this whack apology, but here's the part, even with her saying that, that's not the part that bothered me the most about that recording. The part that bothered me the most was Adam Mendelsohn, or whatever his name is. He's the PR guy for the More Than the Vote campaign. He works with LeBron, and he said specifically, I am tired of the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter movement because it's exhausting. At that moment in time, when he said that, Rachel Nichols giggled and said, she went, ha, 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 mm-hmm.
Things they teach you in journalism school
trumped everything else.
Don't be the
but this
story.
is her apology.
And I don't plan to break that rule today or distract from a fantastic finals. But I also don't want to let this moment pass without saying how much I respect, how much I value our colleagues here at ESPN, how deeply, deeply sorry I am for disappointing those I hurt, particularly Maria Taylor, and how grateful I am to be part of this outstanding team.
Well, Rachel, I want to say thank you. Thank you for accepting responsibility for your actions. As someone that has known you for a long time, being around you, you have treated me with the utmost respect, and you always made me feel comfortable in your presence. And I know your heart. Great person, great individual. I also know Maria Taylor, great person as well. Very, very talented, hardworking, and I feel like she also deserves every opportunity that is presented her way. My only hope is that we have a commitment overall to support each other.
So, okay, that went a little longer than I wanted, but I'm glad you actually saw that, because that's, Kendrick Perkins, I don't know if you noticed, but he was reading from the teleprompter. This was a very planned out response to her apology. I think JD earlier said that they both looked very over it and disgusted. That's what I picked up on as well. And that's why I felt like they both had to write out what they were going to say in her response. Her response is trash, though. Let me just let you right now, as a person who went to journalism school, that's not the first thing they tell you. The first thing they teach you is not, don't be the story. The first thing they teach you is your mic is always hot. The reason why they tell you your mic is always hot is so you don't become the damn story. So you should not say things. That's the lesson in that whole, your mic is always hot. You shouldn't ever say anything privately that you don't want aired publicly. That is the first lesson in journalism, because you need to assume that somebody in that room does not have your best interest at heart. that is rule number one of journalism. So either you didn't go or I'm just going to get another thing. I'm going to just move on, because I did some research on Rachel Nichols, and as far as who deserves the job, if we're talking about Maria Taylor, now I know I drug Maria Taylor for asking for that $8 million that basically Stephen A. Smith is getting. I'm going to stand beside the fact that I don't think that she has put in the amount of time to earn Stephen A. money. Stephen A. has been in the business for 25 years. He has worked very, very hard to get to where he's at. Maria is if we're talking about the time in the movie, she's still in the, character plots. She's not in the actual thick of it yet. That's not hating on her. I just don't think that she's paid her dues with that yet. But now I'm starting to wonder if maybe she wasn't asking for that money because she knew about this recording long before we did. Maybe this was something that she knew was prevalent, and she was just like, no, if this is what I got to fight against, y'all gonna run me my money. You might not give me the spot I want, but you're gonna run me my money. That's what I think. But let me throw up this next asset, because I believe this asset, the thought process from this next tweet is correct. So if you can throw up that next asset, and this is what I want you to see. It says Jalen Rose, Clutch Points posted this. It said Jalen Rose's daughter Mariah went off on Rachel Nichols over her Maria Taylor ESPN comment. Now, I was going to make this a mini what we not going to do, because I did some research on Rachel Nichols and who her mother-in-law is. And I'm not even going to have to do it. I'm just going to let Jalen Rose's daughter go in on this woman. So if we could throw that asset up there right now, let's do that. Let's get her totally dragging.
Rachel Nichols. Maria Taylor knows what a generational talent she is in the broadcasting world, so I don't even got to go there and hype her up. Let's talk about the fact that she actually played basketball. And if you want to go there, let's go there. Let's talk about how you're related to Diane Sawyer, arguably the queen of ABC. Nah. You got your job as one of the faces of ESPN because you're so entertaining and talented and so good at it, right? You are a woman in the sports world, and you sat there and you laughed about the Me Too movement, about your fellow women complaining about being sexually assaulted at work. You think that's funny? What really got me is you're tired of the Black Lives Matter movement because you weren't tired about posting about it or making your stupid little storybook monologues about it. Maybe instead of crying and calling Maria a diversity token, you can direct that energy to the people who think there can only be one woman on that stage. And if we're being real, Rachel Nichols is a subpar reporter. Subpar. Boring. Not great. I'm sorry your white privilege didn't work this time. Maybe next time.
I 100% agree with everything that she just said. And I was on a platform, what's today? Tuesday. So I was on a platform on Sunday talking about this, and people kind of went on and on and on and on about like, no, Rachel Nichols has put on so many Black people on the jump and things of that nature. And I was like, you guys need to understand there are businesses right now that had Black Lives Matter all over their website and was talking about, hey, we're supporting Black business. We're doing this, that, and the third, because it is beneficial for them to do so. There is a difference between actually giving a damn and understanding that you are reporting on the NBA, which is predominantly Black. It has a person like LeBron James, who is all about the Black movement. What you gonna go in there and do? Not act like you give a damn? You can't just be handing out credit willy-nilly when what a person does behind closed doors does not match what they do in public. You guys got to understand there's a huge difference between what people present versus who they are. So with that said, we're going to go on to this next one, because one of the things that I said in that same thing was that regardless of what we're talking about, and I told Arthur, our producer, this, it's Maria Taylor and Doris Burke as far as who really breaks down the game in a way that you can tell that they know about the game. Aside from that, everybody else is just kind of doing this narrative about, he said that his pregame warm up was this, and then the coach told me this, and then it's whatever they're getting in their headphones. But there's two women in this game right now, besides Carrie Champion, but she's no longer with ESPN, so it's a little different. But she kind of got to the part where she knew it as well. But as far as ESPN, it's two people that really know what the hell they're doing, and they're breaking it down. And I am going to stick by that. And I'm going to tell you one thing right now. This is probably the first thing in the world that Kevin Durant and myself have agreed on, because I think he thinks the exact same thing, because he liked a post that basically said that. So if we can throw up that post, here. So if you probably can't see it at the bottom, but it says Rachel Nichols always treated basketball like some weird storybook and is one of the sole proprietors of media talking about hoops in an exclusively narrative basis. And then Kevin Durant liked that post. So I think this kind of leads me back to my other point. When you are in a world like the NBA and you trying to just save face, you have to have other things that you can save face with aside from your knowledge of basketball with basketball players. You have to just be likable. So a lot of these things that she's done to be likable. I know a lot of people won't agree with me on that, but one of the main reasons that I don't like Rachel Nichols, and I didn't have a disdain for Rachel Nichols until Kobe died. And the reason why I stopped liking her then is because she said when Kobe died, Devin, I know you remember this, or maybe you don't remember this, or maybe I was just the one who took it personal. When Kobe died, she was the first journalist to bring up that sexual assault case that happened in Denver. She was the first journalist that did that. I had a huge problem with that. This is not the time. You have an entire world, the entire globe is mourning over Kobe right now, and you took the opportunity to bring that up. It was shameful. What I forgot, and I appreciate this Twitter user reminding me, was that's kind of her go-to. So I want you to take a look at this next asset. And then Devin, I want to see if this changes your opinion about Miss Rachel Nichols, because this person says, never forget when Derrick Rose dropped 50 and she brought up his sexual assault allegations, which by the way, were proven false. Are we really going to be up here and be like, she ride with us when this is the first thing that she brings up every time? Can we just call a spade a spade? This girl is not, she's not an ally.
I think with Rachel Nichols, I've never felt any sort of special fondness towards her. When I watch her do her show, to me, she's pretty flat. So even if we're taking away all of this stuff, it has always surprised me that she's as prominent on ESPN as she is, because I just don't find her to be that charismatic. And that's separating her from all of this. When I watched her apology, I caught it this morning. I didn't see it yesterday. I felt that it was just way too little, way too late. That phone call was leaked, I think, almost a year ago now.
A year ago, yeah.
Yeah, it came out in July or maybe May. I can't remember the exact month, but it's been over a year. She's had many opportunities to bring it up, and to bring it up in a meaningful, heartfelt, truly sincere way. And I did not get that from this. It was about 4 sentences long. You could tell she was reading off of a teleprompter. It didn't seem like something that she ever wrote herself. And I think that what we heard in that phone conversation, or at least what we've read about that phone conversation, is it speaks volumes about how she truly feels. And we've all said things in the heat of the moment that maybe comes out a little bit harsher than it is, but she definitely placed Maria in that diversity token spot. And I think I think it's shameful. And I think that she goes after, I don't know, she probably feels like she's the queen of ESPN over there, and looks like her crown's falling off, because I don't think she deserves the attention and the spotlight that she's been given on that network at all.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Black people were kind of just used to, you have to work twice as hard to get half the credit. So I think if the situation had been reversed, if this was Maria Taylor and all of a sudden they were talking about possibly bringing Rachel Nichols in, I think the conversation, if we would have heard a conversation, it would have been, okay, like, how can I raise my stock value? I'm going to have to do more stuff I'm going to have to do, because we're just kind of used to that. We're kind of used to, we have to work harder than everybody else. Rachel just had this whole, they're only trying to hire her because she's Black. It's like, you ain't never even heard. It's one of those things. And I love the point you just brought up, Devin. Like you said, it was brought up, it was brought up almost a year ago. Right. So why not get in front of it then? That's good journalism too, right? Knowing that this is going to eventually blow up. I think it's blowing up now because, of Maria asking for this extra money, but why not get in front of it before and just say, hey, Maria, let's have a conversation, you and I, just in case one day this explodes. I just want us to be able to say, hey, we've already had this conversation and I've already done the work and blah, 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 blah. Like, save your own butt. even if it's not sincere, at least try. I don't know. I have zero respect for Rachel, but let's get on to this next one, because I want you guys to take a look at this tweet. So when we get a chance, if we could put up this tweet, because this is when I hear somebody say, Devin and I have put up several boxing tweets before. When I hear somebody say that, oh, so-and-so is putting in that work in the ring, I expect to see somebody that I'm like, oh, damn, you doing the damn thing. So let me just show you what Bleacher Report posts. And it's important that you read what Bleacher Report posted, because I'm going to circle back to this in a later one. It says, Tyler Herro getting work in with a boxing glove. Okay, I expect to see Tyler Herro getting some work in. Can we please post the video of said work from Tyler Herro? If we could put that up there. And he walking it off like he just did something.
Jackie, this is what I look like when I box. Like, I'm throwing these wide swings. I'm slow. I'm not hitting very hard. This is Tyler Herro. I know he's not a boxer, but you at least expect him to look better than me.
Right. And that is exactly what I'm saying. Like, do a little bit better. But here's the funny part. Of course, Twitter had something to say about it. Devin, you said you're doing these wide swings. Oh, my God. Okay, so everybody seems to know this because Dennis said the same thing. It's the Marge Simpson workout. Look at that at the bottom. He throwing those wide-ass Marge Simpson uppercut. I can't stand that y'all immediately went to The Simpsons.
It's a very accurate comparison.
God, it is.
It's super embarrassing the way Bleacher Report said putting work in. Like, if you want to share the video, fine, but don't say he's putting work in. That was not work. That was amateur hour.
Right. Oh, that was just poor Tyler. That man just can't win out here. Don't take any more videos of Tyler working out. I think that will solve all of this. All right, let's go into this next post up, because I'll admit that, Devin, you know, I thought of you immediately, because I thought last time I checked on Simone Biles' dating life, she was dating this kind of just a little bit taller than her, really beefy fellow gymnast who was fine. I don't know when they broke up, but she has clearly moved on to another man, also good looking. I'm not going to say he's not good looking. But when the hell did this happen? Where have I been? How long has this been a thing? Please let me know, Devin, because I know you know.
You know what? I actually didn't even look into the timeline, but I totally should have. I like Simone with the NFL boyfriend, though. I like it a lot better.
Yeah, and so when I watched this first video, now keep in mind, I still have hunka burning love gymnast in my head. So I thought this was just some sort of advertisement. And I was like, oh, he's shooting his shot. It wasn't until I actually read the caption where I realized this was her boyfriend. But let me post up this first asset from this one, because this one is very, very cool. So let's check this out.
Gymnast versus NFL player.
Okay.
And the bet was, what was the bet?
Would I get a foot massage, 30 minutes?
No, you said $50.
Oh, $50, okay.
Ready, set, go.
I had you about 3/4 of the way. I burned out.
He looked like a fish on a hook. Why was he moving like that?
I was going to say, watching Simone, she's got her legs piked up. She's using all core strength and arm strength. Like, she just looked more athletic than him. She is more athletic than him. But what was he doing? Like,
what is that? I would not have let this air. I would not have let this air. I'd have been like, no, we cannot post that. I love you, babe, but no, we cannot post that. But when he said, oh, a 30-minute foot massage, I was like, okay, he's shooting his shot. And then I had to realize, oh, it's her boyfriend. Because then I think she actually posted on her Instagram something that said that, oh, you know, this is my boyfriend or whatever. But that just goes to show you, fellas, that upper body strength, Simone, don't mess with her. it could end badly for you. I love that, though. Love is love. That's Jonathan Owens. If you guys wanted to know, he is a safety for the Texans. But congratulations on the new boo. But if you could update us, Simone, what happened to the old boo? Where he at? I'm asking for a friend.
I'll do research.
Okay,
I'll figure it out.
Let me know.
You know.
Let me know. All right, let's go into this next one. Like I said, I was going to circle back to this Tyler Herro one, right? Because Bleacher Report posted that Tyler Herro putting in work, right? So we know who Khabib is, right? We know who he is. We know that he's the guy that handed Conor McGregor what it should have been his official walking papers, but I guess he's trying to get back in, whatever. But anyway, we know who Khabib is. So look, here go Bleacher Report again. And they posted this asset. It says, if someone tired, they can go home and cry too. Imagine Khabib being your coach. So now they've clearly acknowledged that they know what putting in work looks like, right? But then the Tyler Herro tweet, maybe it's just me. The Tyler Herro tweet came after this. So how do you go from posting about Khabib to posting Tyler? Okay, maybe it's just me. Anyway, let's go on to see Khabib in the gym and how he's training people. It's brutal. I would never train under this man ever, but take a look.
Someone tired, you can go home. 5, 4, 3,
What else can they do, Khabib, besides go home?
Cry too.
They can cry?
If someone tired, you can cry. Fine.
Any crybabies here?
40 seconds. 5.
I'd be like, me.
Yeah, me too. I'd be like, you don't see these tears? Where is the tissue, sir? You don't see my butt way up in the air? That's me trying to hide. My butt is trying to distract you from these tears that are rolling down my face, sir. Where is the tissue? What are you doing to us? You just got us posted up like this, and then we got to do a whole bunch of... That's brutal. That is cruel and unusual. I appreciate that that's what you do. But you're Khabib. I'm just Jackie Ray. No. Oh, my goodness. Okay. I got one more post up before we get into what we're not going to do. And like I said, it's not Rachel Nichols. But this one, we've been talking about dads a lot. So I want you to read this first tweet and tell me when you actually see the video, if it looks like in your mind how you read it. So if we could post this first tweet, which is going to be Dad of the Year. Well, Sports Dad. Fan Sports Dad of the Year. It says, this is the most amazing dad stuff I've ever seen. Dude let the baby go, caught the ball, recovered the baby midair, only spilled a drop of beer, and that baby didn't drop the bottle. This is legendary. So when I read this before I saw the video, I'm like, that sounds like child abuse. That sounds like everything that was happening is just wrong. I take it all back. Everything that's happening in this video is flawless. And like that user said, legendary. Take a look at this. How did he do that? He was literally dropping the baby. Can we play that one more time? Because I don't know. Doug says that sounds dangerous. Yes. How did he not drop the baby? Because he used the hand that he was holding the baby to catch the fire. How did he not drop the baby?
I don't know. But I have always said when we saw the mom doing this with her baby and she caught the ball, I said, like, moms are superhumans. Like, they'll do everything that they can to protect their babies. And in this case, it's a little bit different because the dad had a couple things going on. He didn't want to spill the beer. He wanted to catch the ball. He wanted to keep the baby safe. So he had a couple goals in mind. Right. But I have to say, dads will protect their kids too. And I appreciate that.
Yes. I totally agree. So let's go into what we not going to do right now. Cause this is one of those things. I should have brought my bonnets onto the show, and I started to, but I was rushing or whatever. But you guys, if you've been watching this show long enough, you know that I've had, I don't even know, a lot of different hairstyles. I've worn locks. I've worn box braids. I've worn cornrows. My natural hair, before the show, we talked about how I've never worn my natural hair all the way out because it's too poofy and all of this stuff. But I have bonnets. So I have a smaller bonnet for when I wear my hair like this. And the bonnet that I have when I have my hair in box braids it's long. You couldn't even see it on the screen. And the reason for that is because obviously I need to have something that's not only going to hold in my box braids or my locks or whatever I'm wearing. It can't be super tight because when you have braids in there anyway, you don't want it, pulling on your scalp. So, and if there's any Black women in the chat, y'all can chime in and help me tell this story. I totally do not mind. But one of the things, especially when you're in the water a lot, so like when I go to the Dominican in September, you guys are going to know that trip is approaching because all of a sudden my hair is going to be braided up. It's just better for us, just as far as the maintenance, to keep our hair in braids. If you have longer hair, and like my hair is 4C hair. If you don't know what that is, look it up. But I have 4C hair. So for me, the second it gets wet, it becomes a whole thing to get it back to a manageable state because it's just, my water loves hair, so it absorbs all of it and then it just stays there. It's a lot. And so when you're doing something like swimming, especially when that is your profession or if you're competing in swimming, having your hair natural, if you're going to keep it natural and you have a lot of hair, because we've seen a lot of women, especially now that we're on these natural hair journeys, their hair is growing faster. So we've seen women with these full, beautiful lion manes, and then putting that under a swim cap is a lot, right? If you have braids, which a lot of people do, because it's just easier to maintain your hair when you're in the water all the time, if it's braided up, putting that in a swim cap is a lot. So with that being said, I have to shout out this British-owned company. It's a Black-owned British company who saw, these Black women starting to dominate in swimming. And so they were like, you know what? They out here struggling, because I've seen it too. I've seen people and it look like it's like vacuum sealed onto their head. And I'm like, I know that hurts because I know what you got going on under there. I know that is too tight. I know that hurts. So this Black-owned British company saw the same thing and was like, you know what, let's do something about that. So they created this thing called Soul Cap. So with the Soul Cap, it's a little, damn, I really should have brought my bonnets up here so you could see, but it's a little bit bigger than what normal, what you would have to wear on your hair. And the reason why that's beneficial is for exactly what I said. You're not trying to fit all of that hair into a cap this big. It's damn near impossible. And if you do get it, it's painful, because I've done it before. It's very, very painful. So when I saw this, and I saw this a couple weeks ago, and I was like, this is dope. Congratulations. Glossed over it, right? Because I just thought that this was a no-brainer. I don't know why. It's like I've only been Black for 5 minutes. Like, I don't know why I thought that was not going to be a thing, because it is a thing. Because now the swim committee, for the Olympics and all that, they have decided that they are going to ban the Soul Cap. I want you to hear the reason, because I'm going to read it word for word. It says, we are banning that because, now, before I say that, let me let you know this. It is bigger, right? So because it's bigger, when you think about swimming, everything you want to do in swimming, you want to make it smaller because you want to decrease the drag so you can like slice through the water. So having a bigger swim cap is not going to give you an advantage. In fact, it'll probably slow you down a touch. It'll probably give you more drag than you want, but it is necessary for your hair. So like weed, there's no advantage into using this, but the committee has decided that they are going to ban it because, and listen to the quote, it does not fit the natural form of the head. So we have I think it was the end of 2020, there was a law passed that allows Black women to wear their natural hair in the military. Our hair is not, it's natural. And in its natural form, it needs different things than white hair. I don't understand why this is rocket science. Our hair is not the same as your hair. It is not the same. If me and Devin use the same hair products right now, one of our hair is falling out. I don't know who. Devin's is going to be heavy. It's probably going to be oily. She's not going to rock with it. My hair is going to be dry as hell and it's going to break off and it's going to fall out. There are differences. There's nothing wrong with the differences. There's nothing wrong with the fact that my hair needs something different than Devin's hair is. The problem is when my hair needs something different, all of a sudden I'm villainized for it and it's not considered natural. This is a huge problem. And so, of course, the FINA is the organization that banned it. one of the people that made this said, this is one of the things that probably would discourage. I don't know if I'm going to go that far. Her exact quote was, "This is going to discourage many younger athletes from pursuing the sport as they progress through competitive swimming because they don't feel included and they don't see themselves in the young sport." So while I don't think I don't know though, that's a catch-22 because I actually loved swimming in high school. The reason why I didn't do it, I didn't compete, is because when you take for us, there was swim class. It happened in the middle of the day. You literally had 15 minutes from the time you stopped swimming to the time you had to be in your next class. I can't get this together in 15 minutes. So that's why I didn't do it. I didn't do it not because I didn't want to, but I didn't do it because there was no accommodations for me to get my hair together. And I walked through school one time looking a hot mess and I never did it again. So I think there is some of that happens in young people. There's some stuff you're just not going to do because you don't feel like there's any accommodations for you. And I don't understand why it's hard to have something that accommodates their hair when it doesn't give them a competitive advantage. So what we're not going to do is keep doing this. What we're not going to do is use the words unnatural or it doesn't have the natural flow when it comes to Black people in their natural state. The fact that I'm still having this conversation in 2021 really gives me a freaking headache. But here we are. It's one of those things where I don't know how invested I am in the Olympics right now. Obviously, I'm going to watch because there are a lot of Black people that I want to support still. But I mean, come on, guys. It's 2021. I don't know. Devin, really quickly, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it's shameful. I think that everything that the Olympics has done, especially in the last, week, has been shameful. From Sha'Carri being banned because there's weed in her system to now this. I wish I could hear the explanation when they say it doesn't fit the natural form of the head. Well, if that's natural hair, how can you ever say it doesn't fit the natural form of the head? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all whatsoever. And I just think this is another way to create a disadvantage and an obstacle for Black athletes to have to overcome as if there aren't enough already. So I think that this is just absolutely shameful. Cannot get behind this at all. And I feel bad for any of these swimmers who are now struggling to figure out what to do. What's the option? Shave their head so they can participate? That doesn't feel very fair at all.
Yeah, and I know somebody in the chat said that's what they want them to do. And I actually know she's younger, but I do know a young girl that she's kept her hair very, very short for this very, very reason. Because she's like, I can't fit all this hair into that swim cap. Now, her hair is huge because she's part Haitian, part Brazilian. So you got that Brazilian hair and that Haitian hair. It is like when she has it, it is the work just to get it slicked down. When she slicks it down into a point, it takes me 4 hours to do twists to try to get my hair to be poofy, right? It takes her about 2 hours to slick her hair down because she's got to blow dry it, she's got to straighten it, she's got to put gel on it. It's a lot. And then you got to put that under a swim cap. She's like, oh no. And I was like, oh no. But so for someone like her, I'm sure it was that encouraging moment in time where she's like, oh, maybe I get to wear my natural, no, I don't.
Yeah, I think it sucks. White athletes are not given this same sort of challenge. We don't not, white people are not having to think do I have to shave my hair off? So I just think this is, honestly, I find it very upsetting. And I think it's shameful. And I really am glad that you brought it up, Jackie, because I actually hadn't really taken a deep dive into this story very much. And I think that it's important that we talk about it and we call out the Olympics for their behavior. You guys, why don't we wrap up the show now? I want to remind you all that Challenge Accepted comes out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So go ahead and watch that. Also, we're going to have some NBA Finals Game 1 coverage up bright and early tomorrow, so make sure you check that out. I'll be delivering all of the updates if you weren't able to watch the show or the game, or if you just want my opinion, because that's inevitably going to be in there. This is the Fumble after all. So tune in bright and early tomorrow morning, you guys, and then don't forget to come join us in the live show. We'll hopefully be live at 9 a.m., but technical difficulties happen, so we appreciate your patience. So that's Challenge Accepted tomorrow at 1 p.m., live at 9 a.m., and game coverage bright and early tomorrow morning. All right, you guys, have a great, oh my God, it's Taco Tuesday.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It's
Happy Taco Tuesday. Oh, God. This is the latest we've ever been with that. I was like, what? Oh, God.
Bye, guys.